All right, folks. Well, you know you're in for a treat when you hear that tune because it's time for another week of the Rec Poker Podcast. This is the Chats edition, but we also have a Forums edition every week, just talking strategy. I'm your host for both, Jim Reid, Bluffsterini in the home game, and at Rec Poker Jim on the hellscape that we call Twitter. And I have the best freaking job in the world talking poker with my friends here on the podcast every Monday night at 7:30 Eastern, live on YouTube, where you can join us every week for free and win a prize just for showing up. Now, we're going to talk to the one and only Sethy Poker in just a moment. First, I have to mention that we're brought to you by Running Aces. They are the official sponsor of the Rec Poker podcast. Most of what we do here is free. We're a largely volunteer-based organization, so we really depend on support from our sponsors and also from our premium members who take part in our training material and study opportunities for only $22 a month. So I want to thank them for all their support, and I want to remind you, you can sign up for free. Everything starts with a free account at rec.poker, where all it takes to join is an email address and a smile, but we do insist on both. But I would encourage you to check out our premium membership. You can get your first month for only $5 by using the code RecPoker at checkout. And if even that feels like a lot, we love supporting local food banks here. So if you make a donation to a local food bank for any amount and send the receipt to us, we'll send you a free month of premium membership at RecPoker just as a way of saying thanks for helping out someone in your own backyard. And speaking of ways to help out, if you want to go to rec.poker/support, you can find some ways to help us out without even dropping a dime. But if you feel like dropping a dime or two, you can please check us out at Patreon as well and get some cool free stuff over there as part of your support. Now, they let me host the show on Mondays, but I am only one man. It takes a group, a gang, a village, a crew to make all the magic happen around here. We call our own in-house group of wizards the Wrecking Crew. And if you want to learn more about me or the rest of the Wrecking Crew, you can go to rec.poker/crew or listen up because you're going to meet a few of them right here tonight on the air, starting with none other than our producing co-host, Chris Jones.
Well, I'm Chris Jones. You can find me 5B5 on Twitter or Blue Sky. And you can find me on just 5x5 in the Poker Stars home game. And I help run our monthly strategy segment called The Deep Dive.
And I'm John Somsky, also known as Poker Geek MN everywhere, and I organize our home games.
And I'm Rob Washam. You can find me as Rabman50 just about everywhere. And on the first and third Wednesdays of every month, you can join me and a bunch of our premium members as we discuss the latest books in Rob's book study.
There you go. Just a little taster's choice of all the fun that we get up to every month in Rec Poker Land. But you're not here for a little smattering of rapport amongst Wrecking Crew members. You want to get to know Seth Moeller. You know him as Sethy Poker. Seth, thanks for coming on the Rec Poker podcast. It's going to be a treat.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here, guys. I've heard great things about you all, so it's only
Oh,
time.
well, and he knows how to flatter, folks. He might be our new favorite guest. Now, a lot of people know who you are. You've really kind of come on the scene over the last little while. You do so much great sort of short form, humor-based poker content. But I don't want to put you in a box. If someone in our audience doesn't know who's this Seth Moeller guy, how would you define your own role in the poker world today?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question. I mean, the truth is, I have created comedic content of some sort since I was like 11 years old. So this isn't really something new for me, but the truth is, what is new is like having a community that stuck by me. So I don't know. I think I'm still figuring it out. I've only been around for, oh geez, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years at this point. But the welcomingness of the poker community has been like no other. And I'm fine being labeled as just a comedian or a short form guy. I don't think anybody sees me as a professional poker player, but I think one thing that at least I don't think anybody can deny is that I've done at least a little bit to grow the game, which in poker, right? Which, we're always worried, is it going down? Is it going up? I think growing the game is at least one thing that you can say is positive. So I grow the game. I hopefully bring smiles and laughter to some people's day. And I guess if those are the two things that are all I'm good at, then that's perfect with me. So
I love it. Well, I know we overlap a lot on the mandate of sort of like poker should be fun, like
yeah.
let's make poker fun. I know that's something that's
Mhm.
important to you, and it's certainly something that we enjoy here at Rec Poker. Um, is poker always something that's been fun for you? Were you always interested in poker? Sort of, you mentioned kind of working in a few other communities. What
Mhm.
brought you to where you are today?
It's actually crazy. So in college, I started watching Brad Owen and Doug Polk videos, very specifically those two. And I never thought I would be able to play poker. And then one day I was drinking with my buddies and we brought up poker, and a couple of them were like, "Oh, I love poker. Like, how did I not know this? Never played before in my life." And out of nowhere, we start like a 20, 25 people circulating home game in my college, and we're playing 5 cent, 10 cent. I mean, so many of us have these great stories, right? But it was just awesome. We had all the rules wrong. We thought the action always started at like the last aggressor. And like, because when you watch a poker vlog, you don't really see the action. You have to play to learn poker. That's just the truth. So I learned that way. I was probably 21 when I first started playing, and then COVID hit. And
Mhm.
somehow I got put into these like underground Discord COVID games, no rake. And I just like, I've always been a person who, when they start to enjoy something, just dives head first and just is consumed by it. And I was losing. I'm like, why am I losing? And then I immediately just started looking into theory, using any free resources, the Bart Hansons of the world, Jonathan Littles, all of the free resources that I could. And I worked myself up to being a winning poker player in these online games. I crushed my friends, which was a lot of fun for, $5 at a time. But that's how that started. I loved poker that entire time. Never thought I would ever do anything in content. And then I got laid off from my job in 2022. And the Robbie situation had just happened. And it obviously, if anybody knows the Robbie situation, you're like, that's naturally hilarious. Everything about it is hilarious. So I just made one stupid TikTok because I had some time on my hands, and a couple thousand people liked it. The Casino King, who I share an office with, reached out to me. And I was like, you know what? I might have a couple months under my belt. Maybe I'll give this content thing a spin around the block again, and have not looked back since. I'm unbelievably grateful. And I could not ever, ever have imagined that it would end up being what it has become today. So
That's very cool, man. And I think, you're definitely making your presence known in the poker world. You mentioned earlier sort of like being known for like short form comedy. Is
Mhm.
that like a box that you feel is restrictive to you, or do you feel like that's just your wheelhouse and you've kind of like found your area of success, or both or neither? Fill me in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's restrictive to me. Like, obviously, I would be lying if I said that I didn't watch Greg Goes All In before I started making content. He's
Sure.
kind of the original, the OG GOAT, and I will never do an interview or talk to somebody and not and deny that. That would just be ridiculous. But comedy has always been my niche. Like, I I'm not going to say that I don't want to be a serious poker player. I do. I want to be taken seriously. I know what I'm doing, but I don't ever want to be like a pro. I don't ever want people to just view me as like, oh, that's the 50 100 crusher. Like that's just Seth. No, that's just not me. I'm not like that serious of a person. I would way rather be known as being an actor, an entertainer, a funny writer than being a professional poker player. And that has nothing to do with just poker player. It's just my personality. That's the type of person I am. So I think that definitely does end up being my wheelhouse. I'm happy for it to be my wheelhouse. I'm not really looking to move. That's kind of why long form for me is like I haven't done any long form. It's because I don't know what long form to do. So kind of figuring that out, I need I need inspiration, I guess, and maybe we can talk about that after the call.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And I know a lot of our audience is kind of interested in the business side of content creation and sort of so
Yeah.
if it's all right with you, I'd like to pull back the curtain a little bit. So
Mhm.
you've been playing poker for several years now. You like you say you kind of came on the scene, hit the
Yeah.
ground running, a year and a half, couple years ago.
Mhm.
And you've really found your voice, I think, with this short form stuff. It's hilarious. People love it. It gets, I mean, a spectacular reception on the
Mhm.
socials, from what I can understand. I'm not really plugged into the socials, but you seem to be doing a great
Yeah.
job there. Um, how do you like? Are you making a living from a mix of playing and producing content? Do you have other revenue streams? Like, is this
Yeah.
something that you're actually like making work within the industry?
Well, Bitcoin the past week has been great.
Yeah,
No, no. I mean, I answer this question. I answer this question very frequently. A lot of people will ask me how much money I make a year from playing poker, and I'm like, it's very minimal. It's nothing to brag to my mom about, which is a whole other conversation. But
No, but
it's
you can
not
brag to my
anything.
mom about it. She's very easily impressed, and she's definitely tuning in right now. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
don't
like,
worry
Mom,
about
I
that.
made $50 last night. She's like, ooh, good job, buddy. But no, I mean, it's just not poker. Poker just happens to be the vessel of how I create content. So it's nice to know that since I'm not a wildly losing poker player, when I go and film at the Aria and travel to play poker, I'm not burning money while creating content. And that is important because if I was a 10, 15 big blind hour loser at 2-5, it would be really expensive to travel
Hmm.
and meet people and network and stuff like that. But obviously that's not, since I've just proclaimed that I'm not a professional poker player, that's not where the money is for me. It's all in brand collaboration and helping people build their social medias and stuff like that. There's a lot of affiliate marketing that goes on as well, but that's not really, I've dabbled in it and stuff, but it's not necessarily the essence. Most of it has been, paid sponsorships, collaborations, helping online casino brands build their socials. I worked with Ignition for a long time. It's no longer the case, but like if you've ever heard of Kalshi is completely legal in all 50. Guys, you know what? I'm not going to sponsor something on your, but I've worked with lots of different advertisers, people looking to reach to the demographic that a poker comedian, is going to reach, which is a lot of men ages 20 to 50, basically 100% of the time. It's that is a concrete audience that I reach. And there's a lot of, marketing ability in that. So you're right. It's an interesting conversation, but I did quit my job in April. This is a full-time thing for me. And I come down every day, Monday through Friday. Depends on when the girlfriend's off, but we work a 9 to 5 like we have a 9 to 5. I just happen to I am my own boss, which is a nice feeling. It's something I always wanted.
That's fantastic. And I think, we talk a lot on the show about the importance of like if you're going pro as a player, like
Mhm.
knowing what that entails. I would never wish that upon my worst enemy. Like maybe as a cash player, you could make a living playing.
Yeah.
But you gotta have another angle. You gotta have another hook.
Yeah.
Playing on the side of something else is always going to be in my mind the best way to enjoy poker. Folks, if you're tuned in live on YouTube, get your questions in for Seth. We'll make sure to ask them here. And I also want to remind our YouTube audience that we're going to need start suggesting some names of famous poker players or content creators for Stake Study Stack with Seth at the end of the show. And I also just want to mention to stick around till the end because we're going to be giving away a fantastic prize as part of our support for a local food bank as just close to the end of the interview. And like I say, if you want to help us out, you can make a donation right through YouTube, and we share a portion of all of our YouTube donations with a local food bank here as well. Um, so you mentioned you kind of threw away the Casino King line there. I see that in the background you've got a purple color up. We mentioned it. We talked just before we went live, and you are based in Minnesota now. You're sharing an office with Casino King. Of course,
Mhm.
Rec Poker started in Minnesota. We're proudly sponsored by Running Aces. And tell us a little bit about sort of like so how'd you get what made you decide to pick up and move to Minnesota, and what's it been like since you got there?
It was purely personal. So I've dated a girl for, ooh, geez, she'd want me to know the exact date. I think it's two
Ha,
years and 2 months now, but or 3 months, sorry. But anyway,
congrats.
she's, probably the girl forever, to be pretty certain. But we determined we wanted to move in together, and Minnesota happened to be the home for that. And
Hmm.
honestly, I was not super aware that the Casino King was in Minnesota. We actually have some weird like personal family ties. And when we were talking about that, we happened to discuss that he lived in Minnesota. I was like, oh, I'm actually probably going to move there within the next year. And then we started devising a plan to try and be as close together as possible so we could, create content together, go over business ideas, and continue to scale this content dream that we're both in pursuit of. So yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, I love Minnesota thus far. Spread limit poker is not
Right.
great. It's not the
Yeah, it's
best thing.
weird. That's weird.
But we're getting used to it. So
Yeah. Well, we all appreciate that. We do a couple events over at Running Aces, one or two a year, and I always have to like just recalibrate for spread limit because it is
yeah,
kind of a slightly different beast. So,
right.
um, so what were some of you mentioned at the beginning, kind of being surprised at the warm welcome within the poker community.
Yeah.
What were some of the kind of false assumptions that you had that you were pleasantly mistaken about and that you learned otherwise by the time you kind of made your way into the inside?
Yeah, that's actually a really, really good question because I do have a few of those. I don't know. I think when you think of poker, you just genuinely like immediately think of predatory. Everyone's out to get their own money. There's tons of cheating allegations, scamming allegations. I could go down the line. I don't need to. The poker community, I feel like, gets a bad rep because bad press just makes its way to the mainstream a lot easier than other stuff. But when I started out, everyone was nice to me. And even to this day, like maybe there's some people that don't like me. Totally fine. I get it. The videos can be cringy. Trust me. I'm not sometimes I watch them back and I'm like, good God, did I make that? But regardless, like for the most part, everyone has been so welcoming and kind to me, whether it's at award like the GPIs when I was there and I saw like Sean McCormick, like he shouldn't know who I am. And he came up and just sung my praises. And I was like, okay, first of all, I want to cry. I could start crying right now. Second of all, you have no idea how much this means to me. So I don't know. I think the idea that in poker, everyone is just predatory, serious, headphones, no one talks to each other. It's just not what poker is. You go to your local 1-2 casino, 1-3, 2-5, whatever you're playing, everyone's drinking, having fun, talking. Like, obviously, if you play 5-10 at the Bellagio, you might not have that experience, but I don't know, it's a lot more welcoming than I thought it was going to be. And I had all these negative perceptions, and not a lot of them seem to be true. So because of that, I've become an activist for a lot of people, whether they're in my YouTube chat, DMs, friends in my life who think, gambling is just this like, gambling's not great and poker is gambling at the end of the day. But I don't know. I think it is a really beautiful community that can be enjoyed by everybody, whether you're the best player in the world or the worst player in the world. And I just think that's true.
I know we've got some great questions and comments in the YouTube chat. Producing co-host Chris Jones, why don't you dive in and see what's next?
Yeah, Seth, you and I can definitely agree that spread limit has its limitations on being an enjoyable game. But got a couple of comments and questions. Speaking of kind of growing the game and being involved in the game and the community, a couple of these questions are sort of related. But John writes in and asks, what is one or more things that you think we can do or that poker currently isn't doing as a community to grow the game?
Huh. That's very interesting. I mean, what my mind immediately goes to, which might not be the greatest answer ever, but is to allow filming in casinos. I mean, I cannot describe how hard it is. It's nearly impossible. And they treat you like you are asking to rob them. It's like, guys, I just want to point the camera at my cards. No one's faces are going to be involved. There's hardly audio. Like all I'm doing, and I'll say I'm at Prairie Meadows Casino in Des Moines, Iowa. God, I went back and forth with those guys for so long. It was my local casino for the longest time. I played there frequently, and they just wouldn't let me. And that's okay. I mean, we get it, but I don't know. I think in the future you're going to see a lot of casinos take the Venetian route or the Aria route or the BetMGM route where they have a policy for it. You sign paperwork, they lightly monitor what you're posting, making sure you're not posting anything horrible, and they give people the green light. Because at the end of the day, you can't lose as the casino. Nothing really bad can happen from getting free publicity, whether it's blackjack, slots, your poker room. I think in the next 5 years, maybe even two, we're going to be seeing a lot of these casinos open up and allowing kind of everybody to, as long as they're being respectful and following the rules, to have their own place in content creation. I think that's important. A secondary thing I would say is, treating women and, better in the game of poker. I think it's very important. So, but
Yeah, and well, actually, that leads right into the questions right here from Mike, who asks, "What's the best way you think we can believe we can achieve better equality at the tables?"
yeah.
Mike says, "I see way too many women get bullied or ridiculed at the live tables." Um, I mean, it's a tough question, but do you have any ideas for how to solve it?
It's a very tough question. And I mean, I'm not going to claim I know everything, but I do agree with that. I would say typically when I'm sitting somewhere, okay, I guess in Iowa, it hasn't been, but like if I'm in Vegas, I've seen lots of not great things said, done, etc. And it hurts. It hurts the game. I mean, even when you go online and you see men looking down upon, women's only tournaments. That's like step one. Don't complain about that. There is a very valid reason that those exist, and maybe we should consider that before we open our mouths. I don't know. I think it's unfortunately like not a very easy space because the casinos don't want to kick out whales, and a lot of the whales are probably the people who aren't being nice to people. So I don't know. If I think a big portion of responsibility could be on our shoulders in those situations to make sure we're speaking up and defending people who are, not being treated very fairly at the table, whether that's because they're a losing poker player or because they're a woman. So, or anybody of trying to promote equality at the table is very important. So I've spoke up in multiple situations. I will again in the future. I have no problem doing it. I love confronting people in those senses because they never have anything to say. They always just get caught up in the fact they're being a dick. So
right. Yeah, I think that is really the easiest solution. Really, is just to speak up and really try to make people uncomfortable with their own behaviors or whatever. So, and then following up, what this is sort of completely unrelated, but after you mentioned Iowa, John wrote back and said, and it sounds like there might be a right answer, but he's not. He's hedging. He's not giving us. But he says, wait, ask him if he's a Cyclone or a Hawkeye.
Oh, I mean, that's a super biased question. Look. I went to a D3 Loras College in Dubuque, Iowa. I played basketball there. I'm a Duhawk until I die, and I am unbiased. I'm technically an Illinois fan, but if I had to pick, I would pick Iowa because my girlfriend graduated from there. So,
all right. So none of the above, right? Yeah, it is a biased question. You're right. All right, back to you, Jim.
All right, thanks, Chris. And folks, keep getting those YouTube questions in there. I love having this live audience. This is so much fun. So Seth, I say on the show often, like, be careful what you spend time on because, like myself, like you find something you enjoy and you kind of get elbows deep in it. So when you were getting involved in poker, everyone starts pretty bad at the game. We make a ton of mistakes. What were the mechanisms that you used to improve as a player? How did you study and learn? How did you, solve some of your leaks and just become a better player?
Yeah. I mean, I would say I am a huge advocate for using, and I realize you guys have, paid tools as well. Paid tools are great. They are. But I am a huge advocate that you can be a winning 1-2 or 1-3 player with just free online resources. And I will die by that because I basically did it. I didn't have a coach help me until I had 10,000 on all my socials, which is, weighted because they want to help me. But I used Crush Live Poker. I cannot even describe. I mean, Doug Polk, Brad Owen vlogs is great at breaking down hand histories and actually explaining why he does what he does. Wolfgang can get in the mix every once in a while and really talk about why he does what he does in his vlogs, that is. And I mean, Jonathan Little, the how to beat 1-2, how to beat 1-3, the information, while some of these videos can be long, but the information that you can gain is all you need. And obviously, like, again, if you're going to go play 5-10 at the Bellagio, you need more than Jonathan Little telling you, not to call with 6-7 offsuit from the small blind. Like, you need more than that. But no way.
Wait, I'm not. Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But like when people tell me like, I can't win at my 1-2, 1-3 casino, I'm like, I promise you have some huge leaks. Like, I don't know what it is because I can't watch you play. But if you're getting crushed at 1-2, we could make 4 or 5 things just a default, like a flop sizing, play 3 better fold, whatever it is. And I promise you will see your results go up. So I don't know. I think coaches are amazing. Some of these sites are awesome. Hungry Horse Poker. I did Hungry Horse Poker. They're awesome. And that's all great. But I really do think for a large portion of losing players, you really just want to start with the basics. And there are some great free online resources out there that you can use. So,
yep, I completely agree. And this is an and, not a but. I want to say, but I do encourage folks, to get that little, just get a little guidance from somebody, even if it's just a friend who's involved in the game. Because part of the problem with discovering those leaks is you just don't know which assumptions of your own to challenge. You're not very good at self-scouting when it comes to this kind of stuff. And just getting a friend or a buddy or a coach or someone just to kind of shine a light on from outside your mind can really help, like, illuminate some leaks there.
I would say even more so, it's so easy to take a hand that you lose and send it to somebody where you get coolered. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you got coolered. It's set over set. We're not going to give you any notes here. How about you send me a hand that you won, a small hand that you won? I guarantee you we find 4 issues very quickly. So, and the problem is when you reach out to somebody, a friend maybe that's better than you or someone that coaches, I respond to DMs all the time of people going over hands with me. Be open to the
Yeah.
advice and responses that you get. It's so easy to have somebody break down the hand and be like, this is wildly wrong. And you're like, okay, but what about my call on the river? It's like, well, we shouldn't be at the river in this situation. This should be very, very different because you made massive pre-flop, flop, and turn mistakes. So just make sure if you do seek that advice, just understand people want the best for you and they are actually trying to help. They wouldn't tell you something. I've had countless times people DM me a hand and I break it down and they're just like, I don't really agree. I'm like, okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yep, fair enough. You can lead a horse to water. Is that's
Yeah.
that's definitely true. In your own experience, what were some of sort of the strategic epiphanies that you had, the sort of like aha moments that helped you go from a losing player to winning at low stakes live cash games?
Yeah. I mean, I live and die by like 2 very simple statements, and it's don't bluff a calling station and don't call a net. So at 1-2, I think that those 2 sentences alone, when it comes to playing poker, helps a lot. Obviously, there's lots of like things you can just learn, like check raises on turn are vastly under bluffed. People don't pot it on rivers with bluffs. All of these things, people like to bluff small on rivers. You could go through all that stuff, but at the end of the day, the biggest thing that I ever learned, and I learned this once I got a coach, and it's so sad that I had not implemented this before that, but I play a 3-better fold strategy now. Before,
Mm.
I mean, we went over like live stream hands of me, and the guy that was helping me is just like, you call pre-flop way too much. Whether you're in position in the big blind, it doesn't matter. Like, you just need to be playing a 3-better fold strategy. The value in being an aggressor and as you go into the flop is you can't even associate a number to it because of how valuable it is. So, I mean, especially in online poker, as I sit here and stream as much as I do, it's helped me a lot. Because even in low stakes online poker, you see people play very passively, and you can just kind of run over to those passive ranges that, they're very capped. So that was by far the biggest thing, was playing a 3-better fold strategy.
Yeah. Yeah, we do a lot of like Poker Tracker for review work with our online players here in our membership. And
Mhm.
like when I do a database review for new members, like if I could give one person, if I could give everyone like one tip out there, it would be just stop cold calling with offsuit jack hands. You will if you look at your stats, if you look up your stats for calling with offsuit jack hands, you're losing just a ton of money.
Yeah.
So like just little stuff like that, it makes
Mhm.
it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Um, has making poker your job kind of taken some of the shine off it? Are there parts of content creation that are a bit of a grind? Do you still kind of like love the opportunity to play poker? What's that like?
A good
And be
question.
honest with us. Come on,
No,
this is real stuff here,
yeah,
real talk.
I'm thinking of my answer, honestly. I would say the beautiful thing is that I don't play like 1,000 hours a year. I usually sit around at 300, 400 hours. So it's not like I'm killing myself in poker, but I guess that's only live. I'm not calculating online, but I'm not killing myself. I'm not playing, 8 hours a day. I would say what gets more tiring sometimes is actually the content creation side of things.
Hmm.
It's very easy to get drained out intellectually and like constantly being like, oh gosh, how do I create, the next banger? It happens to everybody that does this for a living, whether you want to deny it or not. I mean, I have a buddy that it has 500K on TikTok, does completely different content. And one day he texts me, he's like, do you ever just like want to stop? And I was like, no, you can't get in that mindset. You got to fight through it. Cause like at the end of the day, it's just such a blessing to be where you are. It doesn't mean the struggle isn't real. It's still a struggle. You have your feelings are valid, but I'm so blessed to be in the position that I am that I try and just not think about that. But no, for the most part, every time I sit down and play poker, I feel like I'm at home, which is really weird. Like if you catch me at a 1-3 table, like having a Modelo, I am in the best place I could possibly be. I am 10 out of 10 happy.
Yeah, I love it. So it sounds like you've got a very loving and supportive girlfriend. pop a ring on that if I were you, by the way. It sounds like things are going pretty well. How do you kind of balance this l- traveling for poker, playing at odd hours, having to put this time in at the office? How do you balance that with the other parts of your life and your romantic life and other, hobbies and things that you enjoy spending time on?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal question. That's like probably one of the biggest portions of this whole gig is how do you balance friends, family? Because like the deal is when I work for myself, I could literally work 12 hours a day and I wouldn't blink because I'm doing what I enjoy. So I have to be very, very conscious of friends, family, and especially my girlfriend. The positive is that she is the most supportive woman ever. I mean, this girl is like, I go in on Sundays sometimes. She's like, yeah, go in on Sunday. Or I'll be like, I'm going to Vegas this week. And she's like, go. She's working unpaid, doing her clinicals for her medical. So she's such a trooper. And she's so, I mean, think about it from her perspective, right? We were dating when I started, and my videos would get 100 likes on TikTok when I started. So for her to stick with me is pretty insane. I mean, I think that's breakup worthy. That's pretty cringy, right? Like, and that's the thing. Like anybody that becomes successful in content creation or whatever you're doing, there's this slope up, so it's never going to be right away. But she stuck with me. She believed in what I was doing, and she thought it was funny. So I don't know. I think I literally have a gold mine in my girlfriend, and if she hadn't been as supportive, I say this all the time. If she had not been as supportive as she was, or if my parents or even her parents were like, "Hey, maybe quitting your job isn't the best decision," I would have 100% followed what they say. They're the only people in my life that I trust their opinion, but all of them were like, dude, you only get like one shot. Like, just go for it. So I was like, and my old employer said the same thing. I went in, was super nervous about quitting. Just the support in my life in general I've been very, very lucky. So the people at my old job were like, we're going to support you the whole way. They all follow me. They all watch all my, it's really cool. So I would not be here if it wasn't for the support in my back corner for sure.
That's great. I know Chris has some more questions, but my last one to you first. What are your goals? Like, what are your success criteria? Looking back on this chapter in your life, like how will you define whether this was successful or not?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean,
I'm
I
full
think
of
at
good
this
questions,
point,
man. There's going to be a bunch of them today. Don't get stick around. Yeah.
every question's a good question. I think that could you ask that question again?
Yeah, no, it's just like what are your goals? What are your success
Yeah.
criteria? Like how do you know if this is working or not? How do you measure your success in this realm?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think that I would ever hit 100,000 on YouTube in my life. It was always a dream that I wanted to happen, and we made it happen. So there's
Woo!
a button right here.
That's
That
very
alone in
cool.
itself, if all of this ends tomorrow, everybody unfollows me, everyone forgets my name, I am content. So I feel like I'm just free rolling the rest of my career at this point. Like it literally cannot, like I can't, I'm on cloud nine for the rest of my life. So I don't know. I think what I really want to leave a legacy behind outside of content creation, whether that's, scaling a business of my own in the poker world, the gambling world, whatever that may be. The truth is, and maybe this isn't true in just poker and gambling because it's a little more niche, but the shelf life of an influencer is like 4, 5, 6 years. It's not forever. So it's awesome that I get all these views and stuff. One day that's probably not going to be the case. And that has to be a realistic estimation on my end. So I want to be able to take what I've done here, invest and build in other realms, maybe other industries, but just build a business, maybe kind of how like you guys have, and have something that I have to say for it that still exists once all the videos stop coming out. So
That's beautiful. I like that a lot. Chris Jones, right back at you, buddy.
Yeah, Seth, I mean, you mentioned, the kind of the pressure to have the next banger, to have like the next kind of piece in the content. I'm just kind of curious about your content creation process and what you think makes for like when you've got some good like what makes good short form content in the poker world.
yeah, that's a
And
great
do you
question.
know it in advance, or is it like kind of like I'll try this and hope it sort of spikes?
Yeah. So any content creator in the world is going to tell you it happens all the time where you have a video you think is great and then it underperforms. And sometimes you post one that's not great and it does well. It just doesn't, there's not really always a rhyme or reason, but I would say I know that I have a banger if I watch it back and I laugh because it is very hard to laugh at your own videos. But I was just showing the Casino King one of the videos I'm working on, and I just have this bit in there, and I was dying laughing. And he's looking at me like I'm an idiot, but I'm like, is this funny? I'm like, this is hilarious. So I don't know like the process itself is actually really tiring. I mean, it takes me like hour and a half to film, like change clothes and rearrange lighting and stuff. And then it takes me probably another about hour and a half to edit. And then there's like an hour of writing beforehand. So I mean, people think I just pump them out. They take me like 5 hours, which is like a day's work, right? It's not. So I don't know. The process is fairly rigorous. Sometimes the algorithm just doesn't cooperate, doesn't push the video. But at the end of the day, like if I'm putting out videos I'm happy with, that's all I can do. So, but yeah, you really know one's good when I'm laughing at it, in my personal opinion. So,
Chris, I think we've got some questions specific to Iowa from John Doe, who I
Ooh.
know as my buddy
Yeah,
DJ in here. You want to take those?
there's been some Iowa follow-up based on the original responses. If we want to go there.
Yeah,
Here,
let's go.
okay,
you're
here
welcome.
we
You're
go.
welcome.
So, would you rather beat this is not really I'm not quite even fully understanding this, but would you rather beat Buena Vista or Simpson in basketball?
Oh, Simpson. We didn't have much beef with Buena Vista, but Simpson, we had some really, really good games with Simpson, and they were ranked at one point. I don't know if this chatter knows. Loris basketball is nothing to. We're very fearful. I mean, we were ranked multiple years in a row. I had multiple All-Americans on my team, so Simpson had some really good players. I would say Buena Vista is like in the middle of nowhere. So.
Okay. Uh, have you ever been to the Iowa State Fair, and what's your favorite food item there?
Oh my gosh, that's a really good question. Yeah, I've been multiple times. I don't know. Honestly, if I'm giving a dead serious, honest answer, my favorite thing to consume there is alcohol. Their beer tent, dude, their beer tent is like no other. I'm a huge IPA guy, or I at least used to be a massive IPA guy. I would have everything, just the whole bin. You'd have to roll me out of that place.
And then the last one, any culture shock going from Iowa to Minnesota? Most people see the Midwest as the same, but I know that they are not.
Yeah, so it's not winter yet. We haven't had our first snow, but I've been in Minnesota enough because my girlfriend was here for so long. I think I'll be pretty good at adapting, but I think that I've struggled, which actually this isn't even like a Midwest thing. Iowa doesn't have like any massive cities. I lived in Des Moines, and Des Moines is kind of like one of the smallest big cities in the United States. And now I live in the heart of Minneapolis, and that is taking some getting used to. I'm not a big city living guy, and I'm a poker player, so I have cash on me all the time. Mute this. Don't put this in. So it's like, I don't know. You kind of have eyes in the back of your head, and you're like, oh, what's going on? So I'm getting used to it, but got to pay to park everywhere, which is like, I already pay for this building. It's ridiculous.
Good one. Last one here from Midwest 1811. Happy Joe's Pizza or Marco's?
That's a phenomenal question, and it's just a stone cold answer. It's Happy Joe's. I grew up on Happy Joe's pizza. My parents and we used to get the Canadian bacon constantly, and God, those
Oh yeah.
breadsticks with marinara sauce, marinara, however you pronounce it, it's just so good. That place
That's
is
good.
fire. That place is fire.
All right, well, we're going to play Stake, Study, Stack, and then we're going to close the action in just a moment. I want to just invite our YouTube chatters. Once the interview's over, we're going to give away a great prize for folks that enter the words "food bank" into the YouTube chat. And so, if you want to be entered into our raffle, all you have to do is type the words "food bank" into the YouTube chat right now. And I just want to remind people that the reason we do this is because it's kind of a tough time in the world right now. A lot of people are having difficulty putting food on the table, feeding themselves, their families, their loved ones, maybe their children. And, just like we try and take the stigma away from rec and recreational players, we also try and take the stigma away from people just getting help and asking for help when they need a little help. And there's nothing wrong with availing yourself of your own local food bank if times are tough. So I would encourage everyone here, if you just pull out your smartphone right now and Google food banks near me, you'll find a fantastic organization in your own area that could benefit from a few dollars out of your pocket, a few volunteer hours out of your week, or a few non-perishable food items from your pantry. And it makes a big difference for someone, and it doesn't cost you a lot. Donating to a local food bank is one of the highest ROIs you can get for your donations. So with that, I'll just encourage folks to just type the words food bank into the YouTube chat, and then we will close out our fantastic interview here with some Stake Study Stack and closing the action. But first, I have one last question for you, Seth. So you've played a bit of live poker, you've traveled around, not just in the Midwest. Now, some poker rooms have like a high hand or a bad beat promotion. And if you're in the small blind and you have the kind of hand, yes, Rob and Chris, it's coming, and you have the kind of hand where you might want to smash that, like you want to play the hand. Well, maybe you often chop blinds, but you actually want to play the hand this time. Have you ever heard of some sort of like code word or way to indicate to the player in the big blind that you want to kind of just play this hand and check it down and see if you can beat the jackpot? Is that a foreign concept to you, or have you heard of this before?
I've never heard of a code
God
word.
damn it. Okay, sorry, please continue. No,
what?
Sorry, no, it's fine. Please.
What I
please
was gonna
continue.
say is I've literally been at like the horseshoe during WSOP has like really good high hands, and I've been there, and the dealer will tell me not to chop, and I'm like, why? And he's like, the high hand. I'm like, bro, I have 8 deuce offsuit. What are you talking about? You think I'm just gonna like flop quads? Because it's like, he's like, no, you got to go for it. And then the big blind's like, we got to go for it. I'm like, all right, guys, fair enough.
Okay. All right. I'm going to keep trying this one, Chris and Rob. I know I'm just going to keep trying.
What's the answer?
I have heard very reliably. This has happened to me that you can say the word cheeseburger, like, oh, I sure could go for a cheeseburger right now, and that's like a little underground way of saying, let's see a flop, without saying so that the dealer can hear, like, let's bust the big beat or the bad beat, because then they'll disqualify you for
This is
have to be,
only
like,
if you're lucky
overloading.
enough. Only if you're lucky enough to be playing the 10 other people in the big blind to have heard this code word in the entire
This is a real
board.
thing. Rob, what's your take on this? I know you want to dump on it.
No, it doesn't exist.
It is totally a thing.
Here, what I do is I just elbow the guy.
Can I swear on this podcast? Am I allowed to?
Oh yeah,
You go for
please.
it.
Okay.
Once you
so
do, we
if,
can. Yeah.
If I was in my hometown and it came to chop, and there was the old farmer that's 100% in the big blind next to me, and I said, could really go for a cheeseburger right now, he'd look me in the eyes and be like, what the fuck are you talking about? So
Yep.
I don't think it'd work.
All right. Well, it's a thing. It's totally a thing. I swear I'm not making it up. People have told me, people have hit me up on Twitter, and if you're one of those listeners right now, hit me up on Twitter. I need this validation at RecPoker Jim, because the cheeseburger code is a real thing, and I will stand by that. All right. You're a good sport though, Seth. Thank you. Even if you totally bombed that question. All right. So Chris has been whiling away, coming up with some names for a stake study stack. Let's put Seth in the blender, and then we'll close the action with our speed round.
All right, Seth. So I'm going to give you 3 names. You're going to give me one that you would like to stake in a poker tournament or cash game, one that you'd like to study with, and one that you would take an enormous amount of pleasure of just stacking them at the table. And I'm going to give you all content creators. So your 3 names are Casino King, Greg Goes All In, and Caitlyn Comesky.
Oh, that's tough. That's tough because I don't want to. Caitlyn's like, can I do Caitlyn for both? And then Caitlin's a crusher, man. Okay.
No,
So
this is hard on purpose. We don't make it easy.
yeah,
These are the hard questions.
This is stake and study, right? Are the other 2?
Yep.
Yeah.
Stake and study.
Yeah, I think Greg is probably pretty similar to skill with me, just like a little better. So I think him and I would make really good study buddies. Caitlyn is one of the best poker players I know, on like I have in my phone. So I would love to stake her in whatever she wants, financial investment here if she wants to hit me up. And then nothing would pleasure me more than stacking the Casino King. I mean, I'm not even lying here. He runs so good against me that I could have 100% on the flop, and he like the place would get robbed or something. That's how good he runs. So it's hard to do, but I would love for that to happen.
All right. Thank you, Seth. So that is
Yeah.
Stake Study Stack. I'm looking forward to seeing how your friends respond. And now let's close the action with our speed round. So the key here, Seth, is just lightning fast answers. The first thing that comes to mind, it just has to be true and fast. And if you need to pass, you can pass. We're not actually trying to make you uncomfortable, just like a little uncomfortable.
I'm so nervous.
And to add a little drama, there you go. We're bringing in the soundboard. The soundboard's back. Yep. It works now. It's harder now. You're under some pressure. All right. We're going to start with an easy one. Seth, what is your favorite poker hand?
King 5 of hearts.
Good answer. Is poker a gamble or a skill game?
It's a skill game.
What's your biggest poker pet peeve?
Eating finger food at the table.
Great answer. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Oh, come on. Yes.
Is Ace King a drawing hand?
No.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Or is it a taco? I think it's not a sandwich. It's not a sandwich.
And so I'm guessing you're saying that a taco is also not a sandwich.
Yeah, taco's not a sandwich. No.
Okay. What's one thing you don't have that if you did would make you truly happy?
Oh God, a wife, $1 million. I could say anything. I don't have a lot of things.
A rich wife. What's one thing you are afraid of?
Euros on my left.
Good choice. Should vacations be lazy or busy?
Oh, that's so tough. I'm a lazy.
What's your favorite brick and mortar poker venue?
Just describe brick and mortar quick.
Oh, just like a physical place to go play, not an online room.
Oh God, Aria, probably.
Yep. How do you grapple with the concept of your own mortality?
Oh God, not well. Not well. I don't.
What about an open face sandwich? Is an open face sandwich a sandwich?
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to go back to the mortality thing. I create content so I know that my face will forever be on the internet. How about that?
There you go. You're immortalized in your content. I love it. Who's one poker player that you respect and why?
Oh man, I mean, there's so many of them. I would say, I think Mark Goon is someone that I look up to. He's extremely skilled and found his own way to beat live poker, and I think he's making a lot of awesome statements in the poker world. And then Wolfgang, because he's a great poker player and also, building the game and collecting 1 billion views. So it's impressive.
Awesome. Yellow light coming up. Slow down or speed up?
Oh, speed up.
The end of the tournament's approaching. Are you pro chop or no chop?
Depends who's left in the tournament. If I'm at South Point and everyone's bad, I'm gonna play it out. But if it's like 4 a.m., we're chopping every time.
This one doesn't have to be your favorite, but name one excellent musical artist.
Oh, it's not gonna be anybody knows.
That's
Kendrick
cool.
Lamar.
You like that?
JID, my favorite rapper, but Kendrick Lamar.
Okay. When's the last time you cried?
I mean, I could be really deep. It was probably I was at the Cosmo. I just landed.
There you go. And who is your poker nemesis?
Oh, my poker nemesis? Probably the Casino King. I mean, I'm not joking. Like, I literally can't beat him in a hand. So.
All right, that's the end of the speed round. I have one last question for you, but you can take your time with it. Looking back on your life, let's say someone comes up and puts a gun to your head and says, Seth, you have to go back and do one thing differently. You have to make one major decision differently. What's the one thing you would do differently in your life to make your life better? You have to pick one.
No, see, I feel like I've been asked questions like that before, and I don't want to be a buzzkill, but every time I've said I would change nothing because I am a massive believer in the butterfly effect. I think you change one thing and your entire life changes. So this is where I have always wanted to be, like right where I am. So it would kill me to go back and change something, knowing that it would alter my life. If I had to pick something, maybe I would just tell my younger self to be nicer to my siblings because we used to always have beef with each other. But
I'll take it. I appreciate that you came up with something there. Thank you. I know you did that just for us, and that does mean a lot. So thank you, Seth. That's great. Just doing a quick tabulation here. I've got you at 973 points. That's very impressive. Like almost hit the 4 digits. That's a very high bar to set,
Okay.
but 973, you should feel very proud of yourself. Good for you.
Thank
Uh,
you. I appreciate that.
Congratulations. Congratulations. And thank you so much for coming on the Rec Poker podcast. Seth Moeller, Sethy Poker. We got him, folks. I'm so excited to see you continue to ascend and to keep laughing along with you and sharing your work and celebrating your excellence in this sphere. So keep it up, and thanks again. I hope we get to talk again sometime real soon.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. It's been a ton of
All
fun.
right. Take care, Seth. We're going to talk about some recent home game results and some exciting events coming up. John Somsky, why don't you take us through some recent home game winners? And folks, keep typing. If you haven't, I only see a handful of people typing Food Bank into the YouTube chat. You got to type it in to win a prize.
Hey, and
Oh yeah,
our
Rob,
prize this month
tell
is
them what they've won.
a free month of red chip poker.
Oh, nice. Yep, one of our fantastic learning partners. We
Exactly.
work with all the great other poker training sites around the world, and Red Chip's just one of them. But this week on the show, if we draw your name with Chris Jones's Dice of Infamy on the Diceocam, you will be chosen to get a free month of membership at Red Chip, which I do encourage you to check out. All right, John Somsky, we got the pre-interruption out of the way. Why don't you roll, boss?
Well, on November 16th or 6th, rather, we had our No Limit Championship Series. That's where we play it on the first Wednesday of every month, and we keep track of points for a player of the year. And Bone Crusher 14, Marcel Dusick, won his first
Nice.
No Limit Hold'em Championship event this year.
He's a beast.
Evil
He's a
Roy
beast.
CA David
Oh
Westerveld
boy.
still maintains the Player of the Year points race lead.
Yeah, he's tough to beat. Tough to
E.
beat.
Anderson 85, Eric Anderson got his
Eric.
10th nightly victory for the year.
Nice.
Evil Roy CA David Westerveld got his third nightly victory for the year. Pevette 33 Kim Kilroy got her sixth nightly victory for the year. Stewie 13 Stuart Carriage got his sixth nightly victory for the year. Lefty 19 Mike B got his first nightly victory for the year. Now you said it, Joe Rafter won his fifth international event.
Congrats,
Chip
Joe.
and Flipwreck, Luke O'Driscoll got his first international event this
Whoa,
year.
so both international tournaments were won by international players. Joe's in Ireland and Luke's down in Australia. So congratulations, guys. Nicely done.
And then Maddie Bumpo, Kathy and Twomey got her first LPP event, so she can contact info at rec.poker for her free month at Learn Pro Poker.
Yeah, that's right. We talked about our learning partners earlier. Whether it's Learn Pro Poker with Ryan LaPlante, they've kind of been our OG learning partners since way back. Solve for Why, Red Chip Poker, Sky Matsuhashi's Poker Forge, Jacka Coaching. We've worked with Gareth James. God, I need to do this with the list up. I know I'm forgetting one or two. We have so many fantastic learning partners here.
Poker coach, pokercoaching.com.
Pokercoaching.com, of course.
You're
Yes.
doing something with Matt right now, as a matter of
Yep.
fact.
Yep, that's right, which I'm really enjoying. Yeah, big shout out to Matt Affleck and everybody that Jonathan Little has working over at pokercoaching.com. I've really been enjoying the coaching sessions I've been getting with Matt leading up to the $10,000 400 entry World Poker Tour Championship event that I'll be playing in December down at the beautiful Wynn Hotel in sunny Las Vegas. So I'm extremely excited about that. My thanks to Matt Affleck and to Jonathan Little for helping put that together and making that all work out. But really, to all our learning partners, like we have this fantastic program where all our premium members here at Rec Poker get access to some of the premium training materials from all these other training sites around the world. And it's a unique program. It's something you can only get here. And I mean, for $22 a month, I really do think it's a steal. So folks, come and give our premium membership a try, and or just win one of these tournaments or on Sunday and get a month to learn pro poker, or win our food bank drive, and and win a prize every week just for showing up. All right. Chris Jones, let's count us some contestants. Starting with John Doe, I see John, Midwest, Luke, Mike. We're going to skip Hubie's food court because he's a joker, but he comes back in at the end. And then Richard. So I see 6 in there. Is that what you see as well?
Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, 5, 6. Yes.
6? All right,
All right.
fantastic.
I got
Let's
the box
see.
car. No dice okay, but
No
away we
dice okay
go.
this time.
You can
Let's see
take my
who's the
word
winner.
for it.
No bamboozling, we promise.
It's a 6.
Hey, all right. So that's Richard Deakins. So Rich, congratulations. Please send an email to info@rec.poker and let us know that you won the food bank roll. Yeah, sorry, Hubie. No fives today. But hey, show up next week. You've got a pretty good chance. We don't always get to roll one of those big nerdy dies with one like
No.
8, 12, or 10 or 20 sides. Yeah, your odds are usually pretty good. Just tune on in Monday nights at 7:30 Eastern, and you can win a fantastic prize for showing up. So, and I want to point Midwest 1811 has been listening to the podcast retroactively, going back in time, episode by episode. And he says he's just done listening to episode 425, which he believes is the last one roll by Jim ever recorded. So, a little piece of history there. Congratulations, Midwest 1811. Oh, that's funny. All right. Well,
That's known as the bamboozled era.
yeah, yeah, that's right. Exactly. Oh, um, now, Rob, did we get a chance to? I missed the show last week because I was down in Las Vegas. Did we get a chance to talk about some ROI winners or anything like
No,
that in
we
our home game
didn't,
club?
and I'm still struggling putting it all together.
Ah,
I had to go the old-fashioned way, which is much tougher because for some reason I couldn't get the PokerStars stuff copied over 3 days after the end of the month.
hmm.
I maybe 2 days I can get there, but 3 days it's gone. So John sent me all of the text files, which I'm now digesting into hopefully an ROI top 5 next week.
All right. Well, we'll have some great news to share next week then. Is there anything else
And
that we
the,
should be? Oh, yeah, sorry.
well, I'd like to say one more thing. Rob's book study is happening. We have one more episode of Excelling at No Limit Hold'em, and then we're going to start in December with the book by a couple that we know very well. They were just on the podcast not long ago, and that's Dara O'Carney and Barry Carter. And we're going to go through Beyond GTO, which, if you were with us when we did GTO Poker Simplified by those same two authors, I might
Mm-hmm.
add,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to go now to Beyond GTO, where they talk about how to use your solver to figure out how to exploit opponents' mistakes. Should be a
I
great
love it.
book. I'm really
Yeah.
looking forward to it. We're going to start it in December, so get ready for that.
And stay tuned to the Rec Poker social media accounts. We're going to be giving away a couple copies as well for folks to read along as they join. And yeah, I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I love working with those guys. They're really at the top of their game, and they've been great. We usually will have the author come in at the end of the series to come and do a Q&A with our members as well. So this is a great time to get involved with our book study here. I guess other stuff we should talk about in December. We've got our Heads Up series coming on the third Saturday of December. That'll be your chance to win your way into Marek Madness in 2025. And we'll probably take a couple days off around the holidays, but other than that, you can count on us being here every Monday night throughout the year. And if you're a premium member, then pretty much every other day of the month, we've got something going on over here at Rec Poker. So come get involved and I hope to see some of you in there. So I guess I'll just give one more shout out. If you go to rec.poker/support, we'd love to get your help kind of keeping us going here, whether it's by liking and subscribing to things, sharing a few things, or even dropping a few bucks and buying us a cup of coffee every month. I will say for $10 a month, over at Patreon, you can also get an audio version of all of our training material downloaded right to your phone, just like a premium podcast that you can listen to on the go and get better at poker while you're painting your house or driving to work or doing the dishes or whatever it is that you do while you listen to podcasts. But give that a try. We'd love your support there as well. Speaking of support, I want to thank Sethy Poker. I want to thank John, Rob, and Chris for their contributions not only tonight, but throughout the days, weeks, and months and years here at Rec Poker. Of course, the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. We couldn't do it without them. Everyone in the YouTube chat, this has been so much fun. And you, the listeners at home, we couldn't do it without you. So have a great week, and we'll see you next time on the Rec Poker Podcast. Good night, everybody. Time to jam out.